All right. Uh, the Eternal Quest and Westland Books with CII and YI. Am I audible? Just checking through. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, you're very much, very much.
Okay, thank you. The Eternal Quest and Westland Books with CII and YI in association with Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar Open University, Gujarat, SNS Shiva Niketan School, Tirupur, Devev Celestial and Sai Business Club presents a conversation with author Abhijit Kulkarni on his latest book, The Gopichand Factor. Let us know, let us all know more about the Gopichand Factor, which is a definitive history of the rise and rise of the Indian badminton. And I would really like to welcome Abhijit sir and also Rahul sir here onto this show. Over to you, Rahul sir.
Hello, namaste. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Rahul Dangal, chapter chair for YI Rajkot. It's been a wonderful initiative with the Eternal Quest. The of the clock that it's time to begin now. Firstly, a warm welcome to all the participants. Taking time off our busy schedule is a challenge, and yet each of you have willingly chosen to do so. Gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to the next episode of the Eternal Quest. We are very grateful to Westland, to all our associate partners who have put together this engaging program. A very special thanks to Ms. Mandakini Singh, who is our host for today. A marketeer at heart, a fitness enthusiast who've read more than 200 books till now. Always up for a cup of elite tea and bantering on myriad of philosophic discussion from Stoicism to highest consumerism. Having read multiple books and met people from different walks of life, Ms. Mandakini has always been interested in looking to the lighthouse following which makes she now embraces mindfulness, understanding and applying the principles. Only time will tell whether India can become a world badminton superpower like China, Japan, and Korea in the near future. But the first 2 decades of the century have definitely transformed the country's most popular recreational sport into an aspirational career option. These are the words of our guest speaker for today, Mr. Abhijit Kulkarni, who is an author who has followed badminton for many a year, is passionate about the sport, POV, which does not hesitate to express and his honesty. The All England title of Pulila Gopi 2000 had a rekindled interest in badminton, and Mr. Kulkarni began reporting on the sport regularly. As journalist with PTI, Hindustan Times, Mumbai Mirror, and Scroll.in, he went on to cover several international championships, thus enhancing his knowledge of the sport and the personalities involved. He also worked through upcoming players during his stint with Asia, which worked at identifying and nurturing talent in Olympic sports. When he's not in sports, he is busy working with young children, promoting physical literacy through various games and activities. All in all, he has vast experience in his field and it's been a privilege to have him as a guest today. Over to you, sir. I hand over it to Mandakini.
Thank you, Rahul sir. I think there was certain little problem in the connection. Now, once again, welcome Abhijit sir to this show. How are you today?
Thank you, Mandagini. Yeah, I'm good.
Good,
Having
good.
fun. Looking forward to the Olympics to start.
Yes, yes. I think it's going to be a very busy time for you, and that's why we're
Yeah.
trying to catch you before that. Okay, so let's start the show. Um, India had paved its way, created its own formula, and became a world badminton powerhouse. This is a story to be told and understood. Can you tell us about the sports culture in India and how we can achieve this foundation?
I think we have been having this discussion about sports culture in India for a long time. And every time an Olympic comes, we start speaking about how a country of over a billion cannot win enough medals. But I think over the years, when I have seen the way I have followed sports and I have been part of sports, I think sports culture and success in sports are two completely different things. Uh, First of all, as a society, we need to enjoy sports. Whereas what we focus on a lot since childhood is winning in sports. I think the sports culture is built by enjoying sports as a community activity, as a social activity. In terms of sport growing as a competitive sport, I think it is all about numbers. So it is like if you have thousands playing, then 100 become competitive and 10 of them go on to achieve something. So the whole challenge in India is for people to play a lot more sport. We don't play, like we don't have enough kids playing sport in a technically right manner. Like we are we are maybe playing in a society, we may be playing in a building, but are we training, are we learning the sport in the right technical way? So like badminton is a perfect example. I think everybody in the society or on the streets since childhood has been playing badminton,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
playing badminton competitively is a completely different ball game. Are we learning the game technically right? If we start learning the game technically right, then we automatically start producing more players. I think in the last 8-10 years, with the rise of Saina Nehwal, we actually started seeing players like I also mentioned in the book The Gopichand Factor that
Right.
before 2008-9, a lot of times in the senior women's events at least, we would not have the complete draw. Like we won't even have 16 pairs of women doubles players to play.
Yeah.
That has changed drastically since 2008 2009, where now there are thousands of entries at the national level.
Hmm.
That's a great start, but we have
Wonderful.
a long way to go.
Yes, you're so very right. Everybody plays badminton, or we fondly call it baddie. Every society has it, every college, every school has it. But then again, nobody has gone into the technicalities, which is very right. We need to get the right technicalities in place. Okay. So, what do you think was the foundation on which Gopi Chand made India a badminton powerhouse? And when he became the national coach in June 2006. Over to you,
So
sir.
let's look at a bit of a history of Indian badminton.
Hmm.
We were never a powerhouse of world badminton, but we were never underdogs as well. Like every generation had a player who could play really well at the top. So
Hmm.
like we remember a Prakash Padukone winning a All England in 1980, but we had a Prakash Nath who reached the All England final at 1948,
Right.
and it was because of the partition and his house being torched during the partition on the eve of the final that he could not concentrate on the final. Probably we would have had an All England champion in 1948. So after that, we had Nandu Natekar, we had an Ami Gya who rose to the world top 10. We had a Madhumita Goswami, now based. We had a Kanwal Thakur Singh who went on to win a medal at the Asian Games. It was not the case that we did not have talented players. We had a lot of talented players. And when I have spoken to a lot of players of that era, there used to be a lot of foreign players who used to come to India for exhibition matches. And today we struggle to even get 500 people to watch a badminton match in India. That time people would pay and crowd stadiums. Like Nandu Natekar once told me a story about how Somnath Chatterjee, who was once the speaker of the parliament,
Right.
told him that he had to stand for 2 hours to get a ticket to watch his match in Calcutta.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I think we always had players. The real challenge was we were not a sporting nation, so we never
Right.
invested in sport in that way. So what
Hmm.
happened was, while you only played a couple of matches abroad or the big tournaments, you never got the exposure to start winning. I remember a lot of Asian Games players. Like in 1982, we won about 5 medals at the Asian Games. And when I spoke to all of them about what was the difference and what made you win so many medals before you haven't won, after you haven't won. So the
Hmm.
major difference was because India was hosting the games at the national camps, they actually got to practice with the Yonex shuttles which are used in tournaments.
Okay.
Otherwise, on the most occasions, these players would train with Indian shuttles, which were always faster, which had weird flights, and then go into a tournament and play
Yeah.
in perfect conditions, and they would struggle.
Right.
So it was not the case that we didn't have players. Like then we had a Prakash Padukone. Though nobody won till 2001 when Gopichand won the All England, we had a Syed Modi, we had a Vimal Kumar, who were playing well. Like Syed Modi won the Commonwealth Gold in '82. Syed Modi was considered to be an extremely talented player. Unluckily, he died at the age of 27. But they were players. What changed, if you ask me, for Gopichand was even before Gopichand, uh, India decided to host the Commonwealth Games.
Right.
And so the approach towards sports started changing around 98, 99. 1998, also for the first time in the Commonwealth Games, there were men's separate team and women's separate team. So more players went there. Then Gopi won the 2001 All England. And suddenly we started believing again. Also, because of the 2010 Commonwealth Games, the government had started investing in camps, which were held in Bangalore with Mr. Vimal Kumar as the chief coach. And then in 2006 Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, we did well. We also started doing well in team championships. So in a way, there was that foundation of getting good support had started by the time 2004 2005 came. When Gopichand took over, it was probably an accident where Vimal Kumar did not want to continue. Gopichand wanted to take over the junior squad rather than the senior squad because he had played with most of those guys. But he was thrown into the deep end, and then it was like he started doing what he believed. And luckily, as Gopichand himself says, if he was not the All England champion, probably nobody would have listened.
Right.
But sometimes the stature counts, and that helped him start what he started in 2006.
That is right. There's a kind of a revolution which has started after that. And trust factor, definitely having that star factor definitely helped him, paving his own way. That's so right. So it said that you have mentioned in the book that Gopichand was different. Even during his playing days, he was a go-getter. He managed to build a system that put India on the world's map. So, do you agree? What are your points on to that?
See, yes, Gopichand was a go-getter in a sense. Like if you have interacted with a lot of players in the past, the one thing that always came through the talk was that they were good, but they never believed that they were good enough to beat or good enough to be an international player or an international winner, which was probably different with Prakash Padukone and then Gopichand. But more than anything, no, Gopichand always believed that it was his work ethics that will decide whether he wins or loses. So, as a player, Gopichand had this problem with whenever he was at a coastal area or playing in places closer to the sea, he would have health issues. He would have breathing issues, or when it was colder. So, somebody like a Gopichand in 2000 2001 actually used to sleep in the hot summers of Bangalore without a fan to get used to any kind of extreme conditions.
Okay.
When he got injured and had knee surgery, everybody told him to take the touch play system which India plays. Like Gopichand used to be aggressive, but he continued playing. He got injured, he underwent a surgery, he again came back and played the same way he believed he played. And that was the same philosophy he got into the coaching also, where he believed that Indians skillfully are second to none, but physically are nowhere near the international stars. And his point was, with our skills, if we are fitter, we would be better competitors. In a way, I will say that he found a Saina Nehwal who was the perfect guinea pig, who proved him right. Otherwise, what happens is there are a lot of players that we don't even remember who fell by the wayside, because when you push people to that extent,
Right.
there will be people who will break down, there will be injuries.
Yes.
And like that is why I said, if 100 people play, only 10 actually go in somewhere. So he had a Saina Nehwal who could take that load, who believed that she can take that load.
Hmm.
and who could train that hard,
Hmm.
had the physical strength.
Hmm.
And once that result started coming, it was easy for others to follow, because once the results come, the
Yeah.
others definitely follow.
Right. No, I completely agree because sometimes you have to trust the coach. Otherwise, there is so much of mental and physical pushback from the players. It's very important to establish the trust. And then once the results come in, they speak for themselves. It attracts other people. It also builds in the confidence of the person who is being trained. So, absolutely true. Okay. I would say Gopi Chand's entire badminton career had been built around his ability to put his body and mind to the limits, like you just said, and the self belief that anything was possible if he had worked hard enough to match the world's best in strength, fitness, and skills. Uh, how did he actually implement it on his students? You talked about Saina Nehwal, but if there are any other students on whom he implemented this, and what were the results? How did he come through?
It was a whole group of players. Like since 2004, when he started his academy, he had a Saina Nehwal, he had Saina's husband Kashyap, then he
Hmm.
had a young Sindhu, a Sai Prani. He had a lot
Hmm.
of players. Like it was a
Hmm.
group of 8 to 10 players. Then in 2006, when he became the national coach, the whole camp was being held. The
Hmm.
thing is, no, with Gopi Chand, he pushes you. He pushes you with a. Sometimes you, even as a journalist, I have had this argument with him, because how
Okay.
much to push, because, and he would always say that the body adapts, push it.
Hmm.
And not everybody could take it. There were a lot of people who got injured, but the way he went about was that I want 5% extra every day in terms of physical attitude. Because I remember a case where one of the players was asked to play after the player was tired, and the player actually went up to him and said, "I was playing well. What was the problem?" He said,
Hmm.
"Yes, you are playing well. I only wanted to see, can you push your body when needed if you're told to."
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was all. Like he would, like earlier we would train for 2 hours, rest, relax. I think the basic change in coaching which Gopi brought, and which is probably, if we see the education system, we have a class, we take the class,
Hmm.
the child goes home, and then the
Hmm.
child sometimes has a tutor or parents teach. Same
Hmm.
happens in Indian coaching to a large extent, where you come to the coaching center, you are
Okay.
trained, you learn the tricks, you go back home.
Hmm.
If you feel like training more, you train more. Your parents want to push you, you push more. Gopi
Hmm.
Chand believed that he had to take control of the 24 hours of the player.
This is a difference.
So he decided
Absolutely.
how much to
Yeah.
train, how
Hmm.
much to work on, what to do.
Hmm.
So the whole idea was to take control of that entire package. So
Hmm.
his most controversial statement has always been, if you want to produce a player, there is no place for democracy.
Right. Yeah.
So his whole attitude has been that, okay, you are my responsibility.
Hmm. Hmm.
I take control of you.
Hmm.
You do what I'm telling you.
Hmm.
And that is how he started pushing people. Like this whole 5 o'clock training, 4 o'clock training, which started initially was because
Yes.
he wanted to push those players, make the players come out of their comfort zone,
Hmm. Hmm.
give their 100%.
Hmm.
And like I said, yes, the whole thing revolved around Saina, because Saina managed to
So
make it a success.
Saina was the pioneer student amongst all who
Yeah,
actually made it happen. Yeah.
because there were a lot of, like there was a Krishna Deka Raja who in fact beat Saina 11-0, 11-0 in his junior national final.
Okay.
She broke both her knees. Again, the same problem. Like if you talk to a few players, they'll tell you the work ethics. So if Gopi Chand is telling you after training you need to rest these many hours, you better rest, because your body
Hmm.
isn't going to recover.
Right.
So when he
Yeah.
started, till the system was put in place, he was their physio, he was their masseur, everything.
Right.
Then as money came in, as the camps came in,
Hmm.
people came in. So the
Yeah.
whole idea which Gopi Chand actually wanted to inculcate was this: you can be an exceptionally good player.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can keep playing. There are a lot of players who kept playing, and he always used to say that I was not the most talented, and
Hmm.
probably there were far better players than me, but I am most well known because I won something. So
Right.
it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't win anything.
Right.
So we need to do whatever it's needed to win. I don't care whether you play great, you are highly talented, but you need to do what is important to win. And that is what
I
that
totally
was his
understand.
philosophy.
So I think this is very true even in our corporate world. Whatever hard work we do, if we are not able to give the outcome or the results, it doesn't matter. Work ethics is at one place. Whatever you have to do to get to that outcome is something which is required. Absolutely resonate with that. Okay. Now this is very interesting, and I was shocked when I learned this. The academy was called Five-Star Prison House. What do you think about it? Why is it so?
Yeah, like I said, because he's a like in a in a very weird sense, if you want to say, he's a control freak. So
Okay.
there used to be like, initially I used to go a lot there when the academy started and all that, and like he would just walk up to a room at 9:30, 10 o'clock just to see whether somebody's using the phone. There was a rule that when you wake up and come for your breakfast, you submit your phone and you don't get it till 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So your whole day you cannot touch the phone because you have a session given, you have a plan given. He would barge into a room and check whether you have kept the room neat. There were times when Saina's bags were checked. So that way, so then why they used to call it a prison was you need a written permission to even step out of the room of the hostel or the academy to go out of the gate, and nobody was allowed to be awake after 9 o'clock. So
Yeah.
even today, yeah, the juniors have to be back at 7:30 even if they go out,
Okay.
and the seniors have to be back at 9. So including Chirag Shetty or Satvik Sairaj who are going to the Olympics have to be back at the academy at 9, irrespective of what they are doing, if they have not taken permission to stay out late.
All right.
So that is what I'm saying. He did not remain a coach. He got into the life of players, like a parent will say, "It's time for you to sleep. It's time for you to eat."
Yeah.
So once I was in the academy, and he actually stood behind a player, waiting for that player to take the exact amount of food that has been recommended by the nutrition, because everybody knew that the player does not like what is being served.
Yeah.
So these were the changes which he brought in. Not everybody liked it. Not
Yes.
everybody liked it. A lot of people did not like it because this is not how we are brought up most of the time
Right. We are
in our
not. Yes.
families.
Yes. Yes.
So not everybody liked it. There are a lot of people, even those who liked it then, don't like it now because they have become stars.
Yes.
And
True.
once you become a star, it's sometimes difficult to accept. But now when they are again going to a level where they now may become coaches, they are understanding why a coach has to do certain things.
Right. Right.
So we have gone through that, but yeah, in terms of result, it has definitely worked.
So I think this is a completely new set of work ethics, which we can hear from what was really implemented by Gopi Chand. So yeah, and I will be really scared if I have a warden like that in my hostel. So yeah, great. Okay, you have always followed the new energy in the sport front in early years, which delves deep into the heart of it to write the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into the unprecedented success story. Can you inspire us by what laid behind the success story?
And like I said, the whole thing was, in a way, Gopichand and Saina's crazy focus on winning. Like Saina, if you talk to anybody, like we have seen this as a child also, Saina would not like to lose even when she was playing Gopichand.
All right. Hmm.
She has always been that competitive, and she's competitive in everything she does. So
Hmm.
I remember in 2007 or something, there was a national camp going on, and there's a player called Trupti Murgunde who was Saina's senior and an exceptionally quality player.
Hmm.
And we were all sitting there, and Saina walks out after her training session, sits, watches, and says, "If I have half the strokes of this girl, I will be world number one in 2 years." That's
Hmm.
the level of confidence she had. Like we remember, she was 13, 14. She would come to the camp, and in fun, we would ask her, "Saina jeetegi?" And she would say, "Maar dungi inko." ये मेरे इतनी मेहनत तो करते हैं नहीं.
हाँ.
So that whole approach, what worked was that approach that they believed. And to a large extent, we rarely believed as Indians that we could win in that 90s and 2000. We had decent players. Even in cricket, we suffered because we didn't believe that. And these were two guys who believed that if we put in our effort, we're going to win.
Yes.
I think that is the crux of the transformation. There were two guys, one coach and one player, who believed that they can do anything.
Exactly.
That is what changed in England.
I think culturally also we are conditioned in such a way that we do not exude lots of confidence. But I think that is the story and the game changer over here. So the master and the disciple both believed in themselves that if they are doing the right thing, they are going to get through. Wonderful. Okay. Now this is something which I've already touched upon. But again, Gopi Chand would say we have to go out and win. And Saina would say she would simply say fine. She didn't really bother who the opponent was or what her stature was. Saina was different. She had the adrenaline in practice. The first session of the day, the second session of the day, the next week, and next tournament. Can you tell more specifically about Saina and her training and what really kept her going?
So, like I said, that Saina always believed that she can win. The more important thing is she hated to lose so much that she would fight, like be it a Gopi Chand or it's not like let's understand this. Even if a Saina Nehwal or a PV Sindhu is playing a under 19 boy who trains as much as they do, it's difficult to beat them. The sheer strength of a boy can outlast you.
Right.
So it's very difficult to beat. But this girl never liked losing, so she would fight like crazy. Kashyap has gone through it. Everybody in the academy has gone through it, where she would push, she would not give up. And in a sense, that is her personality. So if you tell her to train in a certain way, she will go out and train. She is not going to ask you. A lot of times it happens. You will say, "Sir, मैंने कल इतना किया था, या आज मैंने सुबह बड़ा सेशन किया है, हम लोग नहीं करेंगे." But Saina, okay, you tell me to do this, I will do. It's like a racehorse who has been trained to do certain things. She would do that, and that is how she was. By Saina's own admission, and all of us admit that Saina wasn't the most talented of that group. In fact, Saina would always come out and say, "If I don't play a stroke for 7-8 days, no, I don't get it perfectly for the next 3 days." But unlike others, Saina would not stop training only. So for every day, she would keep training that stroke. So she was that crazy in training that she needs to train harder. She always believed that she needs to get more fitter, train more harder. That allowed her to get over those limitations of her own skills, and she could match others. So that the other part was Saina's confidence. Like Saina, in the first 10 finals, never lost a final, because final is the most pressure situation. Apart from the World Junior final, which she lost in 2006, she kept on winning finals because she was rarely pressurized. The only match I think I've seen Saina succumb to pressure was the 2008 Olympics quarterfinal against Maria Yulianti, where she was leading 11-3 in the decider. She changed, like she went to the other side, which was the difficult side to play. And in that excitement, an 18-year-old Saina started attacking without thinking. But that mistake taught her a lot. And for the next few years, Saina never really showed pressure. The only time Saina would be tentative or not playing well, you could feel that Saina is not there on the court, is if Saina thought that she was not fit enough. Okay. But if Saina was thinking that she is fit, she had that confidence that she can beat him.
I think that's a rare combination of, outworking everyone and having the confidence in herself. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, who have seen Saina, more than the success of Saina in 2014 or 2010, 11, 12, I think that 2017 the World Championship bronze when Saina had that knee injury after the
Hmm.
Olympics at the Olympics at 2016, and the way
Hmm.
she came back, like we have seen enough players who, when they go into rehab, they also look to do some other things. They
Right.
also, because there are, because you are in rehab, you are free, you can do commercials, you can do. But Saina that way has always been single-minded. So the minute she got injured, she got her surgery done. Everybody thought she'll take 6 months to come back. She pushed
Right.
her body. She
Hmm.
was so focused that she closed ranks,
Hmm.
trained hard, came
Hmm.
back,
Hmm.
and won a world championship medal again.
That's what
So
a
that
champion comes to. Yeah.
single-mindedness was something in her.
Yeah. So yeah, it is very inspiring. That is how, whenever you look at a sports person who has outshined everyone, I think that single-mindedness and focus and concentration on their sport is of utmost priority, and that is what hearing you about Saina that comes through. Beautiful.
And also the clarity of mind. Like when she wanted to go to Vimal Kumar, she just left.
Okay.
She just left.
Right.
She thought this is what I need. So there is nothing that Saina thinks that she has to be worried about what people will say. If she
Right.
thinks that this is important for her, she will
Hmm.
do it, irrespective of what others say.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the decisiveness certainly comes from the clarity of thought, what you want at what point in time, what you're gunning for. So I think the whole mental metal is shown through her, whatever she's doing, how she's training, how she took decisions, how she took her downtime even very seriously to actually, rejuvenate her and come back more ferociously. So I think it, connects the dots of her personality, what she is, how she works out and all that. So now we have talked about Saina, and of course there is lots of interest in PV Sindhu. What do you think is the main training difference, according to Gopichand's coaching philosophy between these two leading ladies of badminton?
I think Sindhu is more skillful, more talented than Sai in terms of basic athletic body also because both her parents were volleyball players. So genetically also stronger athletic body.
Hmm.
In terms of Sindhu and Saina, I think the basic difference is that because Gopi had done something and was successful, it was
Hmm.
easier to translate that success into Sindhu. So the formula was known.
Hmm. Hmm.
There
Hmm.
was a success story.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
though the Sindhu journey started as what you like I have written in the book also because Gopi was upset with Saina or something.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
came
Hmm.
back and said, "Okay, I need to have the second line ready.
Hmm.
I cannot depend on one person." Sindhu that way, and having known Sindhu and her family, they're
Hmm.
extremely passionate about sports,
All right.
extremely passionate about that India flag, playing for that India
Hmm.
flag,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
because both her parents have been representing India. So that
Right.
whole approach for Sindhu has been playing for the country.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Otherwise, Sindhu and Saina are completely different personalities. Saina is extremely intense. Sindhu is a happy-go-lucky girl who will have fun with you, chat with you.
Hmm.
Saina before a match is so serious that you're scared to go and approach to talk to her. So
Right.
they're completely different personalities.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and they were trained also differently. Gopi did not really try to change the personality of Sindhu. He let
Hmm.
her be. So Saina started being successful at 17, 18 and was
Right.
controlled.
Hmm.
Whereas Sindhu was controlled, but there was certain freedom given to her. Because Sindhu is not somebody who can be put under tremendous pressure and made to play. You have to let Sindhu relax, let her pick
Hmm.
and let her do her things, but
Hmm.
at the same time, Sindhu could train longer.
Okay.
Sindhu's physical body allowed her to do a lot more things.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like Sindhu is an exceptional doubles player as well. She has
Hmm.
helped India win a medal at the Asian Games Team Championship by playing doubles with Ashwini.
Right. Hmm.
So the way the personalities were handled were different.
Hmm. Hmm.
More than the training. Training is always going to be different depending on the body size, the way they play. But the
Right.
personalities were also handled differently,
Hmm.
and that helped.
That is the refinement of the coach, because one size fits all at least never works, like our education system, unfortunately. But yes, that's the beauty of a intelligent person. So it's always said, you have also mentioned in the book, great coaches produce great results. Do you believe that personalized training programs are necessary for every player? Like there are lots of junior
Not
players.
personalized training programs, but basic tweaks. So, like everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. Whereas you create a system for coaching, like you create a structure for coaching, you have to tweak those structures depending on a player. So, depending on the weaknesses, strength of a player.
Hmm.
Simply, when if you see a lot of cricket matches, people speak about grips.
Right.
People speak about the technique or the action of the bowler.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, there have been this trend for years in India that everybody's action should be the same. Slowly, we understood that different actions can have similar kind of results. The same
Exactly.
way in every sport, you have to
Hmm.
let players play. You have to
Hmm.
improve on what their strengths are. You have to take care of their weaknesses, but you
Hmm.
have to let them be. The bigger challenge, I think, in individual sports, or rather any sport, is
Hmm.
handling different personalities. Your sessions may be similar because the strokes you play are similar.
Hmm.
What happens in a match is similar. The
Hmm.
real challenge for a good coach is to handle personalities,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
tackle them. You should know when to be kind to a player, or you should know when to be harsh to a player,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that can only happen if you get involved into a player.
Exactly. Hmm.
So if you know the player well, then only you can do it.
Hmm. True.
So I think even in education system we see there are certain teachers who know exactly which buttons to push because they are actually involved into the development of the player,
Right.
and not
Hmm.
just as a student, not just in terms of their marks, but in terms
Hmm.
of their personality, in terms of their whole life.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
same difference comes into coaching also, and
Hmm.
if you can do that, I know it's
Hmm.
difficult because when there are 50 kids, 100 kids, it's difficult.
Exactly. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But and there would be people who will say that we were ignored because
Hmm.
nobody can look after 100 kids.
Exactly.
So you will always have those 5 6 you believe in,
Exactly.
and it happens in corporate culture also. A boss will always
That is
think there is
everywhere.
somebody I think can do better,
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
invest in that.
Yes. Correct. Absolutely. Hmm.
All coaches will do that.
Hmm.
They will think that these 3 kids probably have the best chance,
Hmm.
and they will invest more in them.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's a fact of life.
Exactly. No, I think there are many methods when you are scaling up anything, be it the coaching, be it the attention on the new junior players coming in. There's always a method to it. Just the mindset should be there. There, everybody needs their unique attention. Everybody has a unique strength, weaknesses, and it has to be honed in that manner. So I believe because Gopi has already produced such good results and many other coaches are looking up to him, I'm sure this mindset is going to, promulgate more, amplify more, and more unique attention will be given to the right players and many other players, who are starved of attention earlier. So yeah, okay. Uh, Now there are so many changes happening. So how is the present generation coping with the changing dynamics of the game? What lies ahead in the future? As India has a lot of talent and we have our overachievements to prove it with the promise of more to come.
I think
So how
we are
the
still not.
present generation is coping? Yeah.
So yes, the sport has grown. The number of players who are playing has gone up exponentially. But we still need
Right.
to create a system. We are still, if we want to become a powerhouse, there is a lot to be done. What happens typically in India, or probably typically in everywhere in a system, is that when you have successful people,
Hmm.
you only focus on them. Then that whole long term, like
Right.
when we start on a project, we are always thinking of the project, how to take the next step, the third step, the fourth step, and you're planning for it. Then
Hmm.
you achieve something, and then you start firefighting to maintain yourself there, and then the whole long
Exactly.
term vision goes for a toss. that is what probably, because we have a bunch of players who are playing very well. I'm not sure, or personally, that's my view, that we haven't invested in the next generation enough. But yes, thankfully, they have a role model to pick up to. But now the changing dynamics, because now Saina is 31 plus, Kashyap is 32. So they are going to be phased out. We need to start working on the domestic structure. The bigger problem for me in the whole structure is, as a system, or even as parents and players, we don't respect the coaches enough. And the same thing works in a very weird way. So we are willing to spend a lot of money in tuitions, in classes when it comes to academics, but we are not really willing to invest in the allied services that needs a player's development, like the trainers, the equipments. Where we are spending on exams, we are going and playing a lot of tournaments, but we are not trusting the coach when the coach says, okay, these are the events you have to play. Like I because I work a lot with kids and all that, this is I have had this argument with a lot of parents, that you don't go into a classroom and start teaching when the teacher is teaching, or interfering in the teaching. So please don't come to a sports venue and start interfering in what is going on.
True that, yeah.
So I think if we really want to make that change from a good sporting nation to a great sporting nation, I think we need to start respecting the coaching system better, investing and believing in the system more, or the coaches more. Like, we don't change schools because yes, I'll come marks mil gaye.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but we keep, like, parents keep changing coaches because ये टूर्नामेंट में हार गए, उधर रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं आया. So either you believe in the coach. Yes, I can understand that sometimes you need a better coach from the you've reached a certain standard, then you need a better coach. But there has to be some thought going into the system, why you are doing that, how you are doing that, and probably the association or the government has to create a system where we respect coaches more than what we do today. And also the commercial angle of it, because commercially it's lucrative to coach beginners, but it is financially draining to coach an elite player.
Okay. Is it from the perspective of a coach?
It's from the perspective of a coach. So I'll just give you an example. So if you have one badminton court or two badminton courts for an hour, you can. So you have you train for 4 hours. You train beginners for 4 hours. Every court can have 12 kids. So in an hour you are training about 50 kids. In 4 hours you are training about 200 kids. Every kid is giving you 1,000 rupees. Even if I say for a month, you are still earning about 2 lakh rupees.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Now, if I want to train an elite player, an elite player needs at least 2.5 hours on the court.
Right.
On one court, there will be only 4 kids. So 16 kids for 2 hours, 32 kids for 4 hours. So 32 kids, if you want to earn 2 lakh rupees from them, you need to charge them a bomb.
Exactly. And many will drop out. That will happen.
Yes. Yes. So the economics, though the finances of coaching elite isn't working. And I think the real challenge, and last week I was speaking on some forum and I said the same thing. We as a corporate world, or we as a community, start investing a lot in a player once they become internationals. Exactly. The real challenge is from going to the grassroots to the nationals.
Exactly.
And the corporate world or the community does not invest financially in them. So when you started with that sports culture, it's that culture. So there's that saying, it needs a village to raise a champion. But the village does not invest when you're a child. The village starts investing when you become a champion.
Exactly.
It's a system that is a problem.
Yeah, I understood. Like the institution, government, all the stakeholders need to start focusing on the player when they really need the funds and when they need the attention, rather than funding only at the time when they have proved their worth or proved their international or national even standing.
Government is doing it. Government has a policy for everything, like the size centers. But how do you reach a government? You need to perform better, or somebody needs to call the government guy and say. But it is the community, no? It is people around who see you, who back you up, support you. So that when you spoke of sport culture, that is the sport culture. So I am walking on the street. I understand somebody is a good player, and I start keeping a watch. I tell a coach, "Ki yaar ye acha hai. Why don't you look at him?" So that is what is sports culture, the community or small corporates helping grassroots sports. So if somebody is having a factory somewhere, you just start creating a system for sports coaching within the area. So if the coaching level is good at the grassroots level, you find a good talent, the rise is faster.
Right. Right.
So these things, that is what I'm saying. The government is doing a lot. Like government spends a hell lot of money supporting individual players, but nobody is investing in the system, the coaches. So, like I said, four kids cannot pay 50,000 rupees per coach,
Exactly.
right? But if a corporate is going to pay a lakh rupees to the coach as a salary, the coach can train 8 kids.
Exactly. The basics are taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the community has to help, the cream to rise, not just when the cream has risen. It has to help in rising it. So yeah, very beautiful thought. I think this is one of the most powerful things that how the sports culture could be built and how the community could actually enable it in, bringing it to the main discussion room. Okay, what are your views on the Premier Badminton League? So much in news.
It was a great initiative. It is still a good initiative, but I don't think it has worked well. Again, for the same reason that we don't think, like, we want everything to be grand. So everybody starts comparing it to the IPL or the NBA
Yeah.
because we like to talk big.
Yes.
But badminton is an individual sport. So world over, especially in Europe and even China and all, there are leagues that go longer. There are leagues that take care of kids rather than a showbiz. They are nurturing grounds.
Wow.
So it's like a football league in India or a football league in EPL, which goes on for a longer period. So the clubs get invested, the coaches get invested, the sponsor who is sponsoring the club gets invested. In India, the Premier League is a 15-day, 21-day festival, and then
Yes.
we forget till the next festival comes.
Exactly. Yes.
So it brought in money, it brought in a change in lifestyle for the badminton players, the top players, but it did not, apart from increasing the aspiration value of the child, it did not contribute to the development of the game. The corporates, none of the 8 corporates, apart from one Hyderabad team, and now Bangalore, because a coach owns that team and he has got investors, have invested in the badminton culture or in academies. Because there's no need for that. You are going to sign a player for 21 days, depending on his world ranking, and he's going to play. Unlike a football team or when in a team event, you produce a player, you nurture a player, you push the player, so you save cost. That doesn't happen in individual sports.
Yes. I think it's more of a currently the sponsorship of the event rather than the person and nurturing of the person for a longer time. So that is what I think it is. It just ties back to the sports culture which we were talking about. So if the sports culture is there, all these things are brought in together. So there would be more nurturance, there would be more long-term relationship or long-term investments made by the corporates or the invested bodies, rather than just showcasing that particular event for maybe 21 days or whichever time period it goes on for. Okay, I think what are the challenges and the way forward for India? I'm always scared of these kind of questions because the inevitable comparison with the cricket comes in. But what do you think are
No,
the
like I said,
challenges?
we spoke about this, the whole sports culture, right? We just need to build that sports culture. I'll give you an example because I am associate. I have been working with Lakshya when I work with individual players. Some of them are going to the Olympics this year, and a couple of them are considered to be medal hopefuls. But after I left Lakshya, I have been working a lot on the grassroots sports. And while in Lakshya, we would need about 8 to 10 lakh rupees per player who was making that change from a state level player to the national international level player, because we were focusing on an individual. In the last 4 or 5 years, I was working with one of the wrestling centers near Kolhapur, where we started training about 20-25 girls in wrestling.
Okay. Okay.
And instead of working on individual players, like there were couple of players who were good there, we decided that why not create a system. So the sponsor who would have had to give about 15 to 20 lakh rupees for two girls, decided to give the same amount money for the system.
Okay.
And now you have 10 kids who are winning medals at the nationals in the same cost.
Got it. Yeah.
There's a national champion which was produced from the system, but there are other juniors who are using the same system because a gym was built, so 25 players can use a gym rather than giving money to one player and say, okay, find your own gym.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think the way forward is this: equipping individual centers as a project to produce results. What is right now happening is individual centers are not producing results. For you to produce a result, once you are a talented player, you need to go to that national center, because that is when everything comes together.
Right.
But if you see the international sports, the Australian sports system, the US sports system, where your schools are also equipped with everything.
Yes.
From physios to trainers to coaches. And you don't have to go to the national center to train.
Exactly.
Your school, your club are equipped to prepare you for an international meet.
True.
Which is not the case. So the whole investment has to be at that level if we want to move forward.
I understand, because if there is no decentralized system and everybody has to go to those particular places wherein like a national center, it's very difficult. And then also there are many operational challenges which come in when you have to do this kind of migration from one place to another. Absolutely. So, sir, we are nearing towards the end, and I would like if people who are live, they can send in their questions. Uh, the forum is open. Okay, Miss Padmavati has written, how well do you like writing compared to badminton? Hope your writing will inspire all the children to shine the tournaments. Definitely, ma'am. Yeah.
I think that is my job, to write about badminton. So I enjoy both. I enjoy both watching badminton and writing about it. I hope those who read badminton stories and success stories would get inspired and play.
Okay, any more questions? I think there were earlier questions. I can't see that. Okay, we have touched upon it already. What do you think about are the challenges ahead?
In purely badminton terms, I think the real challenge ahead is giving space to the next generation to start performing, or giving them enough exposure before this current generation starts going into sunset. Because what happens is, till they are playing, we don't bother, like it has happened with the Australian cricket team. Till the Vaughans and the McGraths were playing, nobody thought what after them. I think this is a period where we should start thinking of what after the Sindhus, the Shrikants, and start investing into the next generation.
Yeah, the line has to be, the populated. It has to be populated, right? Any more questions? Because I can't see the screen you have to put in. Okay, I can't see the earlier question, so okay. Hi, sir. Hansika here. What are your opinions on PBL? Is the commercial factor helping the growth of the game in India? Would you like to take it, sir?
Yeah, like I said, the PBL commercially for players it has helped. Like somebody like Saurav Verma, who isn't getting government support, got 40 lakhs from the PBL. It helped him to play for 2 years. Then some junior players who need some funds are getting funds because there's a rule that you need a junior player. But overall, as a sport, commercially it hasn't worked, because after the 21-day festival, like I said, it does not percolate. So if those teams are going to do events, those teams are going to conduct some tournament at the local level, that is when the game will grow. That is when the commercials will grow. So I don't think that way it has worked, but yes, it has helped the players, the existing players, earn some money and focus on their game.
Also, a little bit of visibility, because visibility garners interest. So that is
Yeah,
also becomes a good feeding factor.
yeah.
Okay, I have time for one more question. If there are any more questions. Um, okay, so I don't see, sir, but I would really love to know what are your future plans as an author? What else do we see from coming from your portfolio?
Uh, uh, okay, let's be like, I think I have procrastinated writing this book for almost 3 years,
Oh, wow.
to an extent where I have been a journalist, and a hard news journalist to a long time. So writing more than 400, 500 words used to be like, hello, I'm tired. So writing 70,000 words was a real
It's humongous
effort
stuff.
in a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
uh, yes, like I'm not into so much into writing a lot more, what do you say, personality issues, but I like to write more about players or the systems. Yes, there are a couple of guys I've been talking to about writing a profile book or a biography type on
Hmm.
some of the yesteryear players.
Hmm.
Also, I think I want to work a bit more on this whole explaining how to play a sport. Like my daughter always keeps saying, "Can you write down how to learn basics of various sports?" I
Right.
think I sometimes think that it's an interesting thing to do, because if you can have that basic structural book on how to learn sports from the basics,
Hmm. Hmm.
every coach has their own book. I think just putting together 10, 12 sports India plays and creating a system may be a good idea someday.
I think I will certainly buy that book because what has happened with me is that while in growing up, there are so many things which we did, the group games and all that. But somehow, unfortunately, in India, females fall out of the group games. So there is nobody to play badminton. There is nobody to play throw ball. I used to play lots of throw ball. And then I started looking for individual sports. So now I'm into long distance running. I'm into cycling because these are alone sports. I can do it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I would also like to see a culture coming in wherein everybody is encouraged to play, and all kind of sports are being supported, and people are given the advantage of this. So, sir, now we come to the end of this discussion. It was wonderful having this discussion with you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to host you again. Thank you.
thank you, Mandagiri.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye.
Bye.